All right, I'll call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, did you guys all get a chance to look at the minutes from January 13th?
Move to approve.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes from January 13th school board meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That is approved. Next, the approval of the general fund vouchers 77516 through 77614, void 77543, and wire transfers 19200 320 through 19200 363.
Move to approve. Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the general fund vouchers and wire transfers. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Public comments on the agenda. Got a lot of people here and even not say anything. Okay, next, spotlight on education, empty bowls.
Okay, so we have two things tonight. First is the empty bowl. So Ms. Waterman has agreed to come in and share. It looks like your thing went off too, by the way. Has agreed to come in and share, do a little presentation and share a little bit about the empty bowls.
Yeah. All right. Actually, I'm going to cover a couple things, but only in 11 slides, Mr. Gillis. You got this? He says I'm never quick on anything, so we'll try to prove him wrong, but I don't know if I'll do that. All proceeds from our empty bowls went directly to our backpack program. The left picture there, when I'm facing it, are some of our community members. We had bowl making nights once a month from the beginning of school up until our empty bowls event, making bowls, and we had probably about 200 bowls to sell that night. Some people only bought soup, some people only bought bowls, so I think it went pretty well. About $3,000 was added to our backpack program from that night, thanks to our sponsors and those that came for the soup dinner. Huge thank you to our sponsors and all of the staff volunteers. I really do want to send out a huge shout out to our custodian, Dave Reindahl. He came in at 2:30 for his shift and just hit the floor running. He came, he helped me set up all the extension cords for the soups. He was right there as I was emptying trash, even though he had rooms to clean, and he would grabbing trash bags out of my hands just as fast as I could take them out. So he really went above and beyond helping out as well. So I just want to say a huge thank you. We couldn't have done it without people coming in to make bowls, serve soup dinners, all the churches that helped make the soups as well, and our businesses. Cheryl Paulson went around and just sent out a business donation form, and we brought in probably about $700 in business sponsors, which was wonderful. And now I'm going to move on to just last Friday, I did UW River Falls High School Workshop Day with my students. I wish I would have taken everybody, but it was limited to only 12. River Falls opened up their art department, which was an amazing experience for my high school students. Some of the classes were taught by professors, some of the classes were taught by college students, but each student got to sign up for 3 sessions. And these two are the opening welcome, what can you do with an art degree presentation, and then the one on the right was a glass blowing. They took hot glass and poured water on it, and the kids were amazed to watch it crackle and pop. So they had sessions in art therapy and ceramics, traveling painting. So they had all the easels set up, and the kids started a painting, and they traveled in groups of 5. The painting did. They had about probably 10 minutes to work on it, and then they passed it around, and then it came back to them after 5 other people worked on it, and they had to finish it up. Same with Traveling Zines. They made little magazines and passed those around. These are some glass blowing demonstrations. Just absolutely amazing to watch this. A lot of those college students already had jobs lined up in the glass blowing field. The girl on the left talked about how she is working for a company in St. Paul that takes recycled glass and makes handmade chandeliers and sells them. So I think just hearing from a college student's perspective, really a lot of my students just came out that day with, I didn't know I could do that with an art degree. And the big thing was just making new friends. So you were shoved with other high school students in some of these classes, and first thing that some of my students told me when I walked in to take their pictures was like, hey, meet my new friend, you know, this person, and they're planning on going into the art field, and they're trying to convince me to go this route too, which was wonderful. I was just amazed at the positivity that came out of some of my students. And then I'm going to finish off. I ran into former students. Maddie Powers is into her 2nd year at UW River Falls, majoring in illustration. So it was really fun to run into her, and she was helping out. She was one of the college students helping out in some of those sessions as well. So it was really, kind of made me feel like I was doing something right in my field. Coming up, Youth Art Month, February 23rd through March 5th at WITC. Look at those cuties holding up their artwork. They would love to see a lot of people at the opening reception on February 23rd. So if you can make it, please do. And then high school students as well have pieces. Not as much because high school students have artwork coming up on display at Northern Lake Center for the Arts in Amory and Hudson Phipps Center, which is a juried art exhibit. So I really had to kind of spread their artwork thin a little bit amongst the 3 art shows. So that's what's new in the art field. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, show up at some of the upcoming art shows that we have going on. Thanks.
Mrs. Waterman, thank you. I'd like to thank you too, just for your involvement with the empty bowls. I know there's a lot of people that are involved, but the actual making of the bowls, Mrs. Waterman really incorporates it within all of her classes, and then after school hours. It really has been a huge benefit to the district and those families that benefit from that program, and obviously the Lions Club too. And Mrs. Paulson does a ton. But then all the volunteers that made the soup, and it was really a very successful evening again this year. I think 2 years ago was a big one as well, but this was I think the most we've ever
Yeah, how many people do you have? There's a lot of people there.
I think at one time Nettie counted 160.
I think it was almost 200 by the
I
time we were
think.
done.
And then we had just an abundance amount of bars afterwards, and we just started wrapping them and selling them, and we made probably about $300 just on bake sale items, because Patty Weiss just kept on announcing, saying, hey, we have more bars, come out and get them. So that really helped too, a lot. But $3,000 fills a lot of backpacks.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think last year Mr. Peterson was the first year we did it through the summer as well for many of the families, which has been nice to see too, that those backpacks are not only going home during the school year, but now also going. There's been enough money raised where we can keep it going through the summer months for the families too that benefit from it.
One of the things that was really impressive too is, when we started the program 3 years ago, and you may have been at the meeting, but we met with the Salvation Army representatives, and they talked about underwriting the program and basically saying, hey, we'll make sure you always have food, and we'll fund it for your first few years so you get it going and get self-funded. And we were self-funded within the first year because of Empty Bowls and our Lions Club and just, generosity in the community. So that was impressive, and they were impressed by that. Within 1 year, we were already funding it all as our own, as a community ourselves. No help.
So thank you, and also thank you for sharing on the River Falls trip. That looked like a fun trip. So, thank you. So next up, we had the second spotlight on education. We have a career, and so the CTE month. We have Ms. Watson and Mrs. Hunter have agreed to come in and share a little bit about the CTE month, the FCCLA program, and the FFA program.
Okay, so I have the opportunity to represent both clubs that are here tonight, FFA and FCCLA. I serve as the FFA chapter reporter, but I also this year have the opportunity to serve as the Wisconsin State FCCLA Vice President of Public Relations, which is really a high honor for me. So I'm just going to talk about a little bit about what CTSOs are. CTSO stands for Career and Technical Student Organizations, so they're all student-led, nonprofit, they're all intercurricular, which means that all CTSOs, the skills that they learn within the classroom, such as FCS classes or ag classes, business classes, tech ed classes, all of the above, all of those can be applied to not only their student organization that they're within, but also to their future career in life in general. So also this past week I was in Madison doing some planning for our state conference for FCCLA. So I got to help write the script, pick a theme, plan pretty much everything in one day. Mrs. Hunter was a trooper with me. And then we also had a really cool opportunity we got to go to the Capitol, and we were with all 5 other CTSOs as well. So HOSA, DECA, FBLA, FFA was there as well. All these CTSOs were there, and we got to actually interact with the representatives and speak on behalf of all the CTSOs. So I was paired with a couple of other students in our region. One of them was from Barron. He is the state FFA officer. His name is Ryan. Him and I kind of partnered together, and we prepared a little speech, and we got to go into Senator Janet Bewley's office and just speak on behalf of the CTSOs and what they're all about, why we enjoy them, what they can provide to students in the future, why they're so important, stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, my turn. Hi, my name's Taylor. For all of you that don't know, I was in a couple of pictures on the art thing. I'm very involved here, almost every club, I think. And I have a lot of fun being involved in things, which is really nice in FCCLA. I've done a star event almost every year. This year I did get too busy with my BAC stuff and college searching. So I am a regional representative, which we have 5? We have 5 regional representatives from our school this year. And we basically plan the regional competition, and then we help out a lot at the state competition, which Sam helped plan. I personally am going to be room consulting, so I'm running a room, I'm doing the times, I'm getting all of the judges stuff figured out after everything's happened, and I'm running them and everything, trying to keep everything running smoothly. And then I will also be helping out around the same things at the state competition. It's very fun. It's nice to be involved and see what everybody gets to do behind the scenes, as well as being very involved with the actual competition.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jalen. I'm also a regional rep for FCCLA. Well, she talked a lot about FCCLA. I think one of the more important things that we've done is we work a lot with regionals. Part of things that we do is that we work a lot with the judges. We made gift bags for them at our annual planning meeting. We do this so we can show our appreciation for them. And what else we did? For regionals, we also do the opening and closing ceremony. Thank you. Closing ceremony. So basically what we do is that we open the regionals, get everyone introduced to what we're doing, and at closing we also end it. We start, what is regionals? February 26th?
Yep, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from Wednesday.
Yep. We do a lot with them. We do a lot of planning for regionals. I'm at a loss for words, sorry. Anything else open? Okay, sorry, thank you.
I'm Peyton Lilly. I am the chapter president for FCCLA this year. So this week is actually FCCLA week, so we have trivia every day. We have the candy guessing game at lunch for all the kids. And then we also are selling Crush Pants, which is one of our biggest fundraisers. And then one other thing is the Perkins Funding just got our foods class 3 brand new ovens too. So that's cool to have.
Yes, so if you want to stop in anytime, you can take a peek and check them out. They're very pretty and shiny, and we broke them in with chocolate chip cookies today. So
And a pizza.
they look very good. I do have additional information on what Sam was talking about with CTSOs. So if you want to take a peek at that, that's what I got from Madison today. It talks about some nice facts about how many CTSOs are in different public schools. We hit the 69% that have 2 CTSOs in public schools, so that's kind of fun. But we're going to let FFA take over.
So I'm Mackenzie Ward. I'm the current FFA secretary, and also I'm a regional rep for FCCLA as well. And so earlier this year, I got the opportunity to go to Indianapolis for the National FFA Convention, along with Miss Watson, Avery, and then Kristen Katz, who's unable to be here. And we got to grow a lot on our leadership skills, meet tons of people all across the whole country who came to the National Convention. We got to go to a concert and a couple workshops on various things, from different topics in agriculture to being kind to others and everything in between. We also got to go to a career expo and learn about lots of different careers in agriculture, and a college fair as well. And then this summer, myself and Avery as well are hoping to go to WLC, which is the Washington Leadership Conference, and we're going to be doing a couple different fundraisers, such as a plant sale. So yeah, we're just looking forward to that, and we just wanted to thank everybody for your support of the FFA Club.
I'm Kiara Pickard. I'm currently the vice president for our FFA chapter. And in the beginning of January, me and Nicole got to go to Stevens Point for the halftime conference, which marks the halftime point of the year. And so 2 members from each chapter around the state of Wisconsin traveled to this conference, and we learned all about how to better our chapter. So we're super excited to bring back some new ideas and get that started within our FFA. And then also FFA week is coming up soon, and so on Wednesday the 26th we are planning on having a staff and FFA member breakfast, so you guys can all come. We're serving from 7 to 8, 10 to 8:20. And then we're also sending out our annual FFA week newspaper along with that. So yeah.
I'm Avery Flynham. Last semester I took a leadership class with Miss Watson, and we did a service project, and we got donations to donate stuff to the Arnell Humane Society and Northwoods Homeless Shelter in Amory. And we raised 6 big boxes probably full of stuff. Yeah. And we got dog toys, to treats, to blankets and everything for Arnell, and toiletry stuff for Northwoods. And yeah, it was super fun.
So I'm Ellen Padilla. I'm here to speak on both our sectional speaking contest and World Dairy Expo. So World Dairy Expo was October 1st, I believe, and we took, I think, 5 or 6 people down to Madison, and we competed in cattle judging, and we walked around and did a lot of stuff, learned more about the cattle industry and all the things that go along with it. And our sectional speaking contest was 2 weeks ago on Wednesday. We took 2nd in parliamentary procedure, and we're not sure if we did on our other things, but I know we did very well. We got 17 people went. 17 people went, yes. We did very well.
As you can see, I'm going to let them, they did all of the talking because they can do it much better than I can. But just a big thank you to all of your support from the school board, from the administration. And as you guys have time, we brought a few treats for you guys as a very small thank you for all of your support.
We appreciate you guys coming in. Thank you. I'd like to say a couple things too. Both these organizations I've been so impressed with. I got to be honest, before I came here, I had a little bit of a warped perception on what FFA actually was, just because of the lack of, I guess, participation of where I came from. But then I got to go down to the state tournament or state convention 2 years ago, and then this might be my 3rd year now, judging the FCCLA regionals, which is in a little over 2 weeks. And the skill, I feel like these organizations are very similar as far as what the kids receive from the leadership skills to the confidence, to the interpersonal, like soft skills that they, just from presenting, the very articulate kids. And I feel like when you talk to kids, you can almost identify by interacting with kids who's in FFA and who's in FCCLA, because they really do a nice job presenting. And I think that both these organizations do a great job building that. And so you guys are a wonderful representation of our school. The FCCLA crew, good luck in regionals, and thank you guys all for coming in. I don't know if you guys had any questions or.
I think we were probably all members of you guys' organizations once upon a time, so.
We won't say how long ago. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, and thanks for the snacks.
All right, Skip, what is the next item of business?
New business.
All right, first item of new business is introduction of the 2019-20 valedictorian and salutatorians.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite board items of each year. So we get to introduce the valedictorian and salutatorian for the 2019-2020 school year. So this year, if you see in the notes, I have this year's valedictorian is Juliana Rosine. Juliana is daughter of Abby Munson and David Rosine. Juliana's current GPA is 4.058, which is very impressive. And then this year's salutatorian is Nicole Katz. Nicole's daughter of Renee and Brett Katz. Nicole's current GPA is 4.014. So I thank you guys both for coming in. Congratulations, it's well deserved. Before you guys speak, I'd like to ask you to speak a little bit on what your plans for the future are. But before you do that, I think I'd like to say, one, these GPAs are unbelievable. But I think just by reading this, it's almost taken out of context of how impressive this really is when you look at both individuals and how much they're involved in our school district and the community. To do all of what they do and receive and to earn these GPAs is really unbelievable, for lack of better words. It really is very impressive. So I'm very impressed with both you guys. Congratulations to both you guys. It's very well deserved and well earned. And I wish you the best of luck next year. But before we send you off, would you guys mind speaking and sharing with us what your plans for the futures, what your futures are?
So in the future, I'm going to go to Minnesota State Mankato, and I plan to pursue a degree in aviation with the hopes of becoming a commercial airline pilot.
Wow.
I am planning right now to attend WNTC in Richmond in the fall and major in accounting.
Could you guys also just so that everybody has an understanding of what I'm talking about, could you just tell us what you guys are all involved in?
So I'm involved with FFA. I'm currently the FFA president. I'm involved with Student Council, NHS, Kinship.
I'm a three-sport athlete, so I play volleyball, basketball, and softball. I'm also involved in Kinship, STS, which is like a peer helping group, National Honor Society, Student Council. I think that's it.
And work 50 hours a week?
Yeah, and I have a job, and so does Nicole, and we both work a lot. Yeah, and I'm involved in a youth group outside of school too.
Thank you both for coming in, and congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
Moms and pops very proud.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to sneak out at any time, feel free to.
Gotta get your basketball game.
Yeah.
It'll only be a couple more hours.
We have policies coming up. I'm sure you want to stay.
Have a good evening.
All right, so then
John,
we'll
you
move
don't
on.
get to leave.
We'll move on to the next item of business, approval of the 2020-2021 insurance renewal.
Okay, so I put the renewal in there. You guys can see EMC is who we work with, so Lead Home Insurance. And if you may or may not recall, we went through a bidding process last year, so we bid it out last year and are continuing with them. Good news, our workman's comp is really the reason why the rate is lower than it is. Ultimately, some of that fell off.
Was there a big claim?
We had a couple, claims.
Yeah, we've dropped off quite a bit.
That'll keep getting better too.
Hopefully.
I was looking at the mod can go all the way down to like that experience mod can go all the way down to 0.8. It'll keep going down.
Yeah, so it was good news
Hopefully.
this year. Yep, hopefully.
It's good, I think.
Got some insurance lingo going on.
Our insurance guys.
Well, that's a lot of it, half of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah, been through that before. So we're looking for a motion to approve this, then.
I move to approve the 2021 insurance renewal.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the insurance renewal. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. The next item of business is the review of the 2019-20 WASB State Convention.
Okay, so I'll start us off. Obviously, if Skip or Ryan, you have something, feel free to share. Both Skip, myself, Ryan went down to the WASB State Convention this year. There's always kind of similar topics, but it's different people presenting, so it's really, I feel like, pretty good stuff every year. Some of the sessions, kind of the three sessions I identified that I really enjoyed. I went down a day early just because Baird put on a referendum communication/referendum workshop. Then I met with them individually just to discuss kind of our plans with, what we've been talking about at the board level as far as, a teacher compensation model, also mixed with, what we have with 146 and some of the improvements that we want to do specifically to this building, along with an auditorium and pool. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, just some of the updates to this building, the roof. It's unfortunate. We have two kind of big things that you can't see but are needed. The roof on the high school is really, we've been kind of band-aiding it the last couple years. We've been hiring a company to come in and really just pretty much blackjack spots that have been leaking. And then the HVAC system in this building specifically needs to be completely updated, and some elementary work as well, which that's on the agenda, some of that stuff later. But anyway, it was a good meeting, and then I set up it was a meeting specifically about Clear Lake needs and where we're headed. So hopefully we'll be moving in that direction, and we're starting the compensation conversation, at least with Baird, and then hopefully we'll be bringing in the internal stakeholders as well, and then looking at potentially having questions on the November referendum, the November election. Another one was there's a workshop on compensation. Those are pretty tough because every district's so different and unique to what's needed, was there a referendum, was there not, what the needs are, how, as far as the district that presented on the teacher compensation model in this specific workshop, it's so unique with, there's so many different variables internally. Specifically, you look at, how many years of experience you have. We have also kind of a retirement package for our teachers, and many districts don't. So some of those conversations, but it was still good. And then lastly, I just wanted to share an effective board meeting. Actually, Skip went to it as well. Sun Prairie District presented on that, and ultimately it was how they function as a board without micromanaging personnel in the school level. And I thought I thought it was a pretty good workshop on kind of the ins and outs of what that actually looks like. So overall, I thought it was a good convention. I don't know if you guys had it.
Yeah, a couple of that I went to that I liked. It was on outdoors. This is actually where you didn't go to school there, but close to there. Right?
Fed into my high school,
right.
Yeah.
But I think it was 6 or 8 days out of the year they actually go to I don't know, it's like a park or whatever.
School forest.
Yeah, school forest thing, and they actually, and this was a K through 8, I believe, or maybe only 6th grade.
8.
But once they're in 5th grade, they actually they go spend the night overnight. But a lot of these kids have never camped before or know how to start a fire, and all the all the staff's on board with it. They enjoy it as well, and it's counted as a curriculum day because they're teaching them something out there. But I guess they really look forward to that. I would too, I guess. But
Yeah.
that and all back to this building stuff. I believe it was the same Sun Prairie. They're building a new school down there. Of course, they have 15 or 20 schools, but they're building a school that's going to be net zero energy between geothermal and solar panels and stuff. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So they actually have a guy that's his job is to save energy.
Oh, yeah.
I bet everybody loves him.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that chart of how much he's, I think he's been there 10 years. He's saved him $10 million or something like that.
So overall, I thought it was a really good convention. There are some, I know that he was talking, some that will be recorded that you will have access to. And yeah, I don't know when it's coming out, but I believe they'll be in the near future. So I'll get those out to you.
I'm surprised I thought you could almost go on there right away.
But very beneficial conference.
Good. Okay. Then we'll move on to the review of the Achievement Gap Reduction, AGR.
Okay, so every year we have to share on this. I'm going to pass this over to Mr. Peterson. The printouts to the report are right after the insurance claim, or insurance renewal.
So yeah, achievement gap reduction, again, that's the former, it's been long enough now, we kind of can probably quit calling it this, but years everyone knew it as the SAGE program, but that's the program that's been around for 20 plus years that gives funding to schools like ours for, used to be reduction of class sizes. Now there's 3 different strategies you can choose from. We've continued on with the reduction of class sizes as a strategy that we use to help in our schools. So if you recall, we've done this now a couple times a year for a few years now, but it's a requirement of the grant that we get to review what are the performance objectives that we set, and then what is the strategy that we're using at each grade level. Because there's flexibility, you can use different strategies at different levels. But so the first 2 pages are just that same summary you've seen now this is the 4th year of the contract. I think we've got one more here. And then the very last page has the numbers and the chart on it. And that is the part that we give a report to, after the first semester and after the second semester, tracking on our goal. And so our goal remains for the part of this contract to have 80% of students at or above benchmark in reading and math. And so you can see the left-hand column there is the data from the fall, and using the STAR assessment for this, so the STAR test that the kids take. So the fall numbers on the left, the winter numbers in the middle, and the goal is to have 80% of kids in each grade level meet the benchmark. So you can see that there's variability across the grade levels. And the thing we've talked about before too, to remember that, for example, you may see that we're at 80% right now. That doesn't mean like, oh, we're good for the year. It means the benchmark keeps rising as the year, fall, winter, spring. There's an expectation built within the STAR program that there's growth. So just because you're at if 80% of your kids are there now, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that they will be at the end of the year, because the benchmark goes up too. So. And again, there's no, we report this into the state, we send this in to the DPI, and there's no, penalty or anything for not meeting the goal. It's just that they want you to have a rigorous goal that you track and maintain, records on how you're doing on it. So, if anyone has any questions about it,
A bigger snapshot. Chris, are we making ground over the last 4 or 5 years on attaining 80%, or has this not been in the works long enough to do that? Or at least the same test, or?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think we've been using it consistently enough. I don't know how to answer. I think it's variable. We see year to year, grade to grade differences where some of them make it and some don't. Part of it, is, I think, our small class sizes. You just see that variability. You know, you got such a small sample size of, you know, one class might have 35 kids in it, and the next class has a different 40 kids, and just the population among those kids, you just see such a variance from year to year. You can see it, you know, this year looking across the different grade levels, and, you know, some of that has to do with just a small group of kids that are there.
Well, like in general, I think like third grade, that's a really small class. In general, I don't know that, I realize there's a certain amount of teachers with each, but.
Yeah, if you do have a small class size, you know, does that have an impact?
Right.
You know, that's the question, and that's the idea behind SAGE, is that, you know,
seconds of big class,
smaller classes. You know, I don't know, it's not a very good answer to your question, but I think it's variable. I'd say, you know.
Yeah.
But this has probably been pretty consistent the last 4 years, and maybe that was your question more?
Well, that's, you know, you can see the variability in the numbers right there. That's why I'm asking, if we go out 4 or 5 years and a guy does averages, are we trending upward? Are we trending down? But it sounds like you can't even really.
Yeah, I can't say right now that I would have a solid handle on saying, yep, it's for sure good. I mean, yeah, it's variable. It's mixed. It's mixed results.
If we had kids graduating at the third grade level from high school, then I probably wouldn't ask questions like that. Well, good. Well, thanks, Chris.
Any other questions?
No.
Yeah, I think my only question is what's being done for the kids who aren't at the 80% benchmark?
Yep, good question. In fact, I've just been doing the last couple of days, we have our quarterly data meetings. So meeting with the grade level team and myself, and then Mrs. Shoup, who's a Title I teacher, and then oftentimes Mrs. Jacobchek, the school psychologist, and we meet and we throw all the data up on a board, on a spreadsheet, project it up there, and sort it and look at, you know, student data, and then we go through students who are struggling and are not where we want them to be, and then so we have response to intervention time, or RTI time, and that's where those students get interventions. And so some of them, more intensive needs, may go to see Mrs. Shoup in the title room, or Mrs. Anderson, who's half-time title this year, or interventionist. I shouldn't say she's title, but she's an interventionist too. And then some of the interventions happen right in the classroom. So, and I just today, you know, had a really last couple meetings with some of our grade levels, just really cool, really complimented our teachers on how they work as a team. So there's 3 teachers, you know, plus an interventionist or 2, and they've got systems set up where they're sharing kids, and you know, they're checking, you know, changing it up every month or 2, and, you know, moving kids in and moving kids out. So you know, and different grade levels are all, you know, different places and stuff like that, but we got some really high functioning teams that are doing some good things.
So then what's the communication to the parents as this is all happening within the school? So you talk about a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
Nowhere in your approach are you pulling in the parents to say what could they be doing?
I think that, I mean, at parent-teacher conferences, and there is so there's different levels of interventions. There's tier 2 and tier 3, and when a student is in a tier 3 intervention, it's automatic. We send a communication home to parents, and and if students are in an intensive intervention like that and they don't make progress, and we track their data, that sometimes then can lead to a special education referral.
Okay.
And so then there's built-in parent communication that has to happen in there.
Okay.
But I think it's parent-teacher conferences, but also just nowadays, you know, much more instantaneous communication. I think our teachers do a pretty good job of, you know, communicating with the parents as far as what should the parents be doing at home, or what can they be doing to help. I mean, I think that varies by the family, you know, and I think we try to control what we can control, which is our time during school, you know, because we don't have a lot of control of what goes on after 3:30. You know?
No, and I'm just thinking for the parents who want to be engaged, there should be a communication mechanism, because with Skyward, you can see the grades ebb and flow. You hear the stories of what's happening in school, but you're not getting the communication from the teacher of what's happening. You're looking at a 6-year-old telling you what's happening, and you're a little confused. So I'm just wondering, what's the communication with the parents on all these interventions? So if they want to be engaged, they have the right to be engaged in that. Because they can help support if there are trending deficiencies.
Yeah. And I think, especially in the younger grades, like kindergarten and first grade, JK, the homework that they send home tends to be, variable, like, okay, your daughter needs to practice this, or your son needs to practice this. So I think that's what they try to do, is send that home.
It's just a subtle versus a direct message.
Well, and I don't know about what you're speaking of, but like all of my kids, they've used this class dojo, and if I get some, and like, so you shoot, and the teachers are very good at getting back to you, I guess. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to. But.
No, I was just wondering with all these strategies, and it looks like we've, reading in second grade, you have 50% of a class that's not at 80%. What does that bigger strategy look like? So, thank you.
Yep.
I can speak to that a little bit. I mean, I think, I go back to our standards work, I really think that's the biggest variable to some of these, like the concerns that you're talking about. I feel like aligning the curriculum, which we've done, and now we're in the process of, moving towards aligning assessments and mapping the curriculum out. But then also I think from a teacher level, it's been neat. There's been a couple reading nights. Help me out, Mr. Peterson. Reading night, science night. Those are the main two.
They had a reading math
night
last year.
And reading night specifically, I went more, I guess, even as a parent and supporting the teachers. It was really neat to see they gave out, and this is more not response intervention, but more of a blanketed, what can parents do, and gave some tools and techniques to what you can do at home as a parent, which was, I think, pretty neat to see from the teacher led. It kind of came from the classroom, and the teachers created and developed that. But I do think it goes back to the standards piece, and to make sure, which I think we're moving in the right direction as a district, which will take time, but I think we're headed there. I don't know if that answered your question either, but
it's just, we say class size reduction, but it's a lot bigger than class size reduction.
Well,
this is kind of a misleading report.
This report is simply it's a requirement from our state, from our grant, to have the AGR money come to us, and it's simply they're asking, what's the strategy you're using, and what's your goal, and are you tracking your goal? And I think they want to know more, are you tracking it? And I think they're collecting data from the state to research on the project, on the program, to see its effectiveness.
Good. Thank you, Chris. Any other questions? Okay, then we'll move on to, I think we'll skip over the next item, approval of a staff hire, and we'll move on to consideration and approval of upgrading district HVAC system.
Okay, so the HVAC system is, what I talked about as far as, are we going to tie that into a referendum? Is it going to be partially referendum, partially that Fund 46 money? But ultimately, it's something that has to be done along with the roof here at the high school. So for this, I put it all in the board packet just for you to look. I'm not looking for approval. I mean, obviously it'd be great if we had the money for approval of all of this, but I just wanted you guys to see kind of the overall what we were looking for. So the very first page, train, kind of gave us a breakdown of what it would look like to update the HVAC system kind of in pieces rather than doing the whole thing all at once. So that the $22,000, that dollar amount is just for restructuring the HVAC system at the high school so it can be dealt with remotely. Right now, at the high school, we call we're calling Egan. We've kind of transitioned more to train. They have to come on site and physically help us out if there's to troubleshoot. If the heating is down in a part of the building, they can't see it from there, and they have to physically be on site. So the $22,000 is really, it gives you the itemized kind of pieces of what would actually be done. But ultimately, the big chunk of it is the high school, for them to be able to access it remotely. The second chunk, that 12,000, is, and again, the bulleted items are what would actually be done. But that's specifically to the main office at the high school, to the district office, kind of those main two areas. And then if you turn the page.
This is still at the high school you're talking?
These are both high school, yep. If you turn, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages, the second proposal, that 76,000 is the redoing some of the elementary as well. And that's access to elementary remotely, but then also, as you can see, replacing different things and components. So they broke it down in kind of sections. What I'm looking for is for you guys to consider kind of what we've done every year with projects as far as approval moving forward at the end of the year. If there's money when I'm closing out the budget to most likely do, on that first page, one of those 2 items would probably be what we'd be doing if we had the money, specifically in the operation side of things for the HVAC system.
I got a question.
Yeah.
The elementary school, how old is the system that we're looking at working on already?
2014. Yep, so that one, most of that wouldn't be replacing that system. This building wasn't done during the referendum, so the biggest chunk would be redoing the high school HVAC system here.
But the elementary, though, you're saying is 76,000 for elementary work on the system over there, right?
For converting it and then replacing some of the,
And we're converting it to a web-based control system, if I'm understanding.
Yeah. And then
You see where I'm asking that question, Josh? We just spent a lot of money on that building with the hopes of not having to put any infrastructure money into it for a decade at least, but now we're talking about a close to $100 bill already.
Yeah, and if you guys want specifics on it, we could have training come in and talk. I could also have Tom come and talk to the specifics as far as what that would look like. There is another proposal to the 60 to 70,000 would be kind of the entire high school. So that's just the replacing some of it, and then obviously accessing remote. So if you guys aren't comfortable with that and you want more details, when I talked to Tom and Train, I said, let me just throw it out there to the board. If you guys aren't comfortable, I'm more than happy to see if they could come in and speak to exactly what would be happening.
Is there someone other than Train that does it too, like for another bid?
We got a bid from Egan, which was
okay.
Quite a bit more expensive. They were part of the initial referendum. If I'm being totally honest, we haven't been I'll speak for myself, I haven't been pleased with their customer service. I feel like we're an afterthought. We've had a couple different issues that we've dealt with, and it's been, elementary, for example, how many days were we out of?
2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
No air conditioning.
It was just, in my opinion, not great customer service for a company that did the whole referendum project. So.
And how old is the high school one? Because that was my other question. Elementary is 2014. What do we think the high school?
Probably
97, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
Original.
when the building, so the HVAC system here is original to when the.
Yeah.
You can see the controls in this building are air powered, and the tubing and the lines that run the air pressure to all the dampers and things are cracking over time from age.
So this building, like one of the big issues we could have, and this isn't the case, but like Mrs. Waterman's room could be, feel like 100 degrees, and the room next to her could feel like, 50 degrees. There's just a huge inconsistency in the rooms.
And that's those controls that just aren't working anymore.
Yeah, and this is one of those items we have plenty of time, before we start closing out the budget. So if you guys want them to come in, I could certainly schedule a meeting and they could speak more. They could definitely share with you as far as like what the needs and what they would be doing.
And that's the same case over at the elementary? It's the controller system that's kind of going?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, not necessarily. Not there. This cost would be like switching from almost like company to company, I believe. And obviously, like I said, there's some of those itemized things, replacing the 65 controllers and then the 15 existing controllers. But again, we can have Tom and Train come in and
Square
shared.
footage, is the
Yes.
elementary bigger than this? Okay.
This is just for the controlling part of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear,
I
I
know that
guess.
elementary bit
Yeah, I
just
think
seems
it'd be worth
long.
our time.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I was supposed to do the whole system in 2014.
I don't know.
2014, we were young men back then.
I think I aged a lot that year.
Gosh, that was 6 years ago, 5 years ago anyway. Seems like a couple winters ago.
So I'll do-
So what are
I'll-
you looking for, Josh? Are you looking for approval of portion, or?
Well, nothing. If you guys aren't comfortable with it, let's just bring Train in, and we can have Tom come in as well, and they can share with you exactly what the whole upgrade would look like.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, I think that's kind of needed.
All right, well, thank you for that then, Josh. And the next item of business then we'll move on to is the approval of home-based private education interscholastic participation.
Okay, so I have 2 letters in there. We have 2 families that are homeschooling their children. One, I believe, recently moved to the area. They have requested to participate in athletics. So 4 or 5 years ago, WI, there was a rule change where they are we're legally obligated to allow them to participate, but prior to that, they have to prove to us that they are going through the homeschooling process. So I gave them the report that they have to fill out and submit to DPI. They met with myself and Mr. Rosine, and they provided that information to us. And then I just put the one as an email, and then one is more of a letter for the 2 families that have requested participation in WIA athletics. So my recommendation is that that the board approve those requests, because they've fulfilled their requirements as far as the DPI is concerned.
So there's no financial piece that they have to pay to participate, or?
No, other than the fees that all
Any
kids
other
have to
student?
pay. Yep.
Okay. Anybody?
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
It's moved and seconded to approve our home-based private education interscholastic participation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item of business then will be the review of our school board policies.
So at the very end of the packet, I have a couple policies in there. Starting with all right, so selection of district administrator. So we're still in the bylaws. This is policy 0132.1. Most of them are straightforward. There's a couple that we'll have a little bit of dialogue on. But. Any questions or concerns with that first policy?
No.
Okay. Second one is administrative guidelines. So this is policy 0132.2. And then you'll notice in the last sentence in the first paragraph, it references policy 1230.01, and then that's the next one I have in there, so it jumps a little bit, but it is connected. So ultimately, this policy says that our administrative guidelines are linked to anything that's not policy is linked to our handbooks that we have in the district. Questions on that one?
No.
Good to move on? Okay. Then we have policy 0133, judicial. Good on that one too. These are pretty straightforward. Policy 0141, number, the Board of Education shall consist of 5 members. Policy 0, then the next one is policy 0142.1, the electoral process.
Where did they come up with that 5 originally? Just curious.
Every board is different.
Some have 9.
Some have 7, some have 9. It's really just a local decision.
Do you want to change it?
Yeah, to 1.
I don't know that we can put another person.
Did we skip the judicial, or was that part of the other one? I'm just behind.
No, this one was part of the other one.
Yeah, flipped.
Sorry.
Pages were flipped.
So you guys already went through the judicial?
Yeah. And that one.
That one's straightforward, 1 sentence. And then the electoral process is what we currently do. The board is elected in spring, election on the first Tuesday in April. That consists of state law, so outside of our control. Good with that one? If I'm going too fast, holler. Okay. Policy 0142.2 is qualifications. A school elector in the school district is eligible to be a board member.
How come you're not reading them all?
Yeah.
Then we have policy 0142.3 is the term, and it's the term of the board member shall be 3 years, commencing on the 4th Monday in April, and shall continue until a successor is elected and qualified, or until a vacancy occurs.
Do we need to change that now that we don't have a meeting the 4th Monday in April?
So looked into it. I'm pretty confident that the 4th Monday in April is tied to the oath, not the board meetings. Because I initially...
It just means they wouldn't be there at that second.
Actually, Mrs. Karnick and I thought that same thing this morning, and then weren't sure, so I looked into it, and I'm pretty sure it's tied to the oath. Yep.
Okay.
So then the oath is on the next one, the policy 0142.4. And this one we did change where the oath can be taken in the district office if you guys so choose.
So we have, the oath is that actual piece of paper that we sign, so that's the oath then, right?
Yep, it's got to be notarized, I believe. Yep. Any questions on the oath? Good? Okay. Recall, policy 0142.6.
What exactly does that mean?
I don't have the state statute in front of me, but I can certainly get it for you if you want.
I can look it up too, but...
What, recall?
Well, with all the impeachment stuff, I'm like, I wonder what this means.
And I believe last but not least is authority, policy 0143. This is one of those, obviously they don't come right out and quote it, but during a couple of the sessions actually at WASB is at the convention, not this year, but I believe it was last year. One of the board members that was presenting recommended making sure you have this policy before you have any drama on the board, and recognizing that board members are just individuals and speak only as individuals. They're not a board unless it's the entire board. But to try to get a policy in place when you're going through issues is not easy, was their recommendation. So, but we won't have to worry about that. We're smooth sailing here, right?
Never again.
Okay, so that's it for policies.
All right. Thank you for that, Mr. Ernst. Next item of business is the superintendent notes. So.
Okay. A couple things that have happened in the district, and then things that are soon to be happening. Earlier this month, the administrative team met with the wrestling club. We talked with the club about the potential or the possibility of co-oping between Clear Lake and Prairie Farm as an option. Just looking at numbers, really reached out to the youth wrestling club just as to see if we could come into a meeting and really more of a listening session to try to give them a voice and be heard, and obviously recognize that it's ultimately the school district decision, but we wanted to make sure that they had a voice and actually hear any concerns or things that may have been brought up that maybe we didn't think about, and just to get a pulse for where the youth wrestling club was at. So we met with them, I shared kind of why we were considering this, feeling that the numbers in the wrestling program, unfortunately are low right now. I think we have 8 total wrestlers, and just where dual meets are at, and this isn't a Clear Lake issue, it really is an issue that's a lot of the surrounding areas are dealing with, and express to them that I recognize the long history that the wrestling program here in Clear Lake has, and this is not something that I want to do, or we want to do, I should say, but it's something that we have to entertain, and unfortunately we'll have to continue to entertain if numbers are low, just because I don't think it's fair to the current high school kids if we don't entertain that. And with wrestling, it's not like golf where you can just say either it's a team sport or an individual sport, and it doesn't really matter how many kids you have, because you have to be able to practice, and you have to have kids that's a similar size, otherwise you run the risk of injuries and people getting hurt. And we talked about the last couple dual meets, having 2 matches. One we had 3 matches, but we ended up bumping a kid up 2 or 3 weight classes, and just hearing where everybody's at. I think it was at the meeting, I feel like it was more voiced as against it separately. Individual conversations that I've had, individuals with kids in the youth program at the high school program, I feel like it's more of a mixed, I would even say maybe even the individuals that spoke to me, that shared with me, I feel like it feels like there were more that shared that they were not in favor, because I don't think anybody's in favor of co-oping. I feel like you lose a bit of your history, nothing against Prairie Farm, but I just think you never want to co-op. But I do feel like there were many that feel, certainly people on both sides, but there were numerous individuals that came and asked to meet with me separately, that are more in favor or open to it. Ultimately, we've made the decision that right now we're not at a point where we have to make that decision, but like I communicated at the meeting, we want to make sure that we make a decision that we're not forced into a decision that we don't want to be forced into, where we're co-oping, and it's truly not a mutual 50-50 co-op. The last thing you want to do is be in a co-op where you're just sending kids to another district and they're no longer participating under the Clear Lake colors and logo. They're under a different school district and different colors. But anyway, I felt like it was a productive meeting. I feel like individuals got to share their concerns. And it was good for our whole admin team to kind of hear where everybody was at and allow people to voice those concerns. So, like I said, decision was made that we're not going to this year we're not co-oping, or I'm sorry, we're not entering a co-op for next year. Part of the concern with the co-op too, or I guess my personal frustration, is just the timeline. It never feels good, and I shared this at the meeting too. You don't want to feel like you're jamming something down people's throats, but with the co-op you have a certain timeline, and we would have had to have the decision made by April 1st, which meant it would have had to have been on either this board meeting or the next board meeting, along with Prairie Farms board meeting. Probably had a joint board meeting, and the timeline wasn't working for us. So like I said, ultimately we decided to hold off. But that was late last month. We met with that crew. Also started at the high school and at elementary. Started the Earth Day, the planning. The meetings have started. At the elementary, we've had a couple. I guess since our last board meeting, we had our Warrior Way celebration at the end of last month. We had 8th grade registration here, which has always been very successful, and it was again this year. We had a good turnout. I don't know what percentage, but it certainly looked like almost all of our current 8th graders going into freshmen and their parents were present, so that was good to see that. Also had Spirit Week last week kickoff, so a lot of different fun things in the junior senior high with different dress ups and games. Huge thank you to Mr. Crawford, all that he does getting that organized. He does so much for those kids, and I really think they will realize it once they leave us and they're graduated and far, many years from now, they'll look back and actually recognize what he all did for them during that time. So it really, some fun activities, and then ended the week with a pep assembly that Mr. Gillis facilitated. So that was a fun week. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Mr. Gillis, but it was a
great week.
Successful week.
Students were well behaved, really good participation, and it's a nice way to break up winter.
Yep. One thing I wanted to put in these notes, I've been starting to meet with the 4 of us, superintendents, myself, Turtle Lake superintendent, Clayton superintendent, and Prairie Farm superintendent. I think I hit all 4 of them. All 4 of us. We've met now 3 or 4 times. The intentions with these meetings are to figure out a way that we can help each other out, and we've really been collaborating. How it was initiated was we started the conversation of course offerings at the high school level and how we can share our staff with more singleton kids that maybe would use a Microsoft class that we offer in Clear Lake that maybe Turtle Lake doesn't, or Clayton has the construction academy that where maybe a kid or 2 would go to that, and more of a collaboration approach rather than doing our own things. And it's morphed into even more than that, which has been really, I feel like, will not only benefit me in my role, but our entire district and the kids that we serve in our district. So like I said, mostly course conversations, but our last meeting we started to talk about possibly this summer having a joint meeting with all 4 districts and bringing in the legislators to talk about politics and where we kind of voice some of our concerns. Mostly that specifically we were talking about school financing and small rural schools like ourselves, the 4 of us, and how some of the school financing impacts specifically us. So that will be hopefully coming, but I think many I think a lot of good things are going to come from that meeting. The last meeting, we also brought the principals from the high schools, and then now we're going to have counselors meeting as well to talk logistics about regarding the scheduling piece of things. So I'm excited to see how it benefits the Clear Lake and the Clear Lake kids. We also had a junior kindergarten screening last week, Thursday and Friday. So huge thank you to everyone involved, Ms. Pickard, Ms. Anderson, Mr. Peterson, all of the 3 kindergarten teachers. We give no, the JK and the kindergarten kids we don't have school for those kids on those days, and then we just offer screening for the junior kindergarten kids that are coming in into the building. We also have some outside agencies that come in and offer their time and provide information to our families. And the staff down there do a really nice job. I don't know if you have anything to add, Mr. Peterson. But.
Oh yeah, they like a well-oiled machine. We've actually had other districts come in and observe us. The county has, offered to have people from other districts come and observe how they run it, because it's so well run. And the other big thing, we say it every year since we remodeled the school, and we have that separate wing down there. It's just amazing. It's just so nice. It's the rest of the building, you don't even know what's going on, and the people down there's a separate entrance, and it's quiet, and those kids just feel, there's no stress. It's just nice and quiet and calm, and they move from room to room and got all that space. It's awesome.
Nice.
What percentage of the kids do you get to come to that?
Well, I would say almost 100, but we always get, for example, there were a couple of no-shows the other day. Well, we follow up, and they have the flu, they're sick, stuff like that. That always happens. And then we inevitably will get more this spring. We'll trickle in to Mrs. Pickard, or then over the summer they'll come in and register, and some of them are just people who just missed it. Some people just kind of don't want to bring their kids in. I don't know, maybe one a year like that, and then others are just people that move into the district, after the fact.
So we got about 120.
Yeah, 120. It's I would say it's only in the upper 30s, pushing 40 right now. But again, it's early. I would say I'm hoping, I'm predicting the low 40s when it's all said and done. At least I would hope. Hopefully, I'm not proven wrong by saying that.
So that was going on last week, and then we also had big doubleheader on Friday with the boys and girls basketball team, which was a big turnout in the gym with the little dribblers and everything going on. So we're getting to that kind of postseason time with basketball and wrestling. So upcoming stuff, before we get into the sports, I guess upcoming stuff, we have the Clear Lake Area Ministerial Association is coming to meet with the admin team on Wednesday this week, which we'd like to bring them in, and we're going to bring them in once a year, just to keep that relationship going. They do a great job, whenever we have to unfortunately deal with significant issues. They're kind of like, I think I've said this before, but they're like our Red Cross in the Clear Lake area for both buildings. So they're coming in, just kind of meet and greet, make sure we get all the emails and contact information, and then a couple items to discuss. We also have, this weekend we have the wrestling team is starting postseason. They have regionals on Saturday in St. Croix Falls. And then the following weekend, next weekend, we have sectionals in Edgar, which is different from they realigned our sectionals, so a couple new teams, but quite a ways away now in Edgar, and then state wrestling, individual state wrestling, the 27th, 28th, and 29th, mixed with boys and girls basketball that week as well. We have a home basketball game on the 24th. Girls basketball start their regionals on the 25th, which I'm guessing most likely we'll be hosting a lot of these upcoming events. I think I mentioned I'm going to the FCCLA regionals in Stout to judge that event, or be a judge as part of that event. Then we have, hopefully, if the girls continue, there'll be another regionals game on the 28th if our girls end up winning. And then go one more week out, we have Read Across America starting up. So the week of the March 2nd, we have Read Across America. Oh, and then I do want to mention one other thing. We've been, between the three of us, we've been able to participate, which I think kind of aligns with the attracting and retaining quality teachers. UWRF, which I know I've shared with you guys, I'm on the PI 34 committee, but they run mock interviews for all of their student teachers. This year I am going to participate on March 2nd at the UWRF mock interviews day. It's a full day of just interviewing, kind of giving them a test run at interviewing, and get to meet and greet all of the different student, teacher, and potential teacher candidates from UWRF. So it's a good day. So that's all I have.
Wow.
I'm rambling.
Thank you, Mr. Ernst.
Yeah.
So the next item of business is our contemplated closed session. Thanks, John.
Yes,
Have a good
thanks,
night,
John.
In accordance with WSS 19.85.
Yes,
It's gonna stay there.
Yeah, you better take a
John, sugar.
Paragraph 1C, considering employment, compensation, and performance data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. The board is going to be discussing approval of staff hire. I'm going to pull the board. Nettie?
Yes.
Skip?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ryan?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
We are in closed session. All right, we're back to open. I'll entertain a motion for our staff hires.
I move to approve our staff hires.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve our new staff hires. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Future agenda items. Does anybody have anything that we want to put on our future agendas?
I have one just to think about. I'll have it on the agenda for next time. The April 13th meeting is the Monday after Easter, which we have no school that day, so just kind of think about if you guys want to shift it to the Tuesday, or if you want to move it to a different Monday, or I guess consideration of moving the April 13th, unless we all want to come in that day.
Well, just if you have any, Josh, just throw an email suggestion out there.
Okay.
We'll get something figured out.
We need to do something for the election before that. Before it. Or this,
We could
isn't
just move it
something
to
with the
14.
second Monday or something?
That's,
Oh, move to the second Monday?
we
On that
can't
one.
do appointing of the new offices until the May meeting.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. I can't get it all. Just read it.
They'll have to do the oath in the office, admin office, before the end of April, the new people. And then we elect new positions in the May meeting.
Okay. Anything else, you guys?
What about that HVAC thing? Do we need to do more with that?
I'll communicate with Train to see when they're available to come in.
Okay.
And then talk to Tom too.
About the Chromebooks for the policies. You brought yours, good job.
How about them?
Can we stop printing and everybody bring their computers next time?
You
I
guys
think
good
we
with that?
have said that for the last
Like,
3 meetings.
right, but like we could take.
Like, do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, let's stop Lori
I
or
hope
whoever
mine's up
putting
there,
these
so.
together and taking the time to do this and go everything electronic.
Everything?
Well, could we at least do the agendas?
Agenda so we can write on them.
Yeah.
But everything else.
Yeah.
I'm great with that.
That's a lot of time to print and put these all together.
Yeah.
Takes Josh half, 3/4 of the day to get this put together.
And I kill a lot of trees.
There are apps you can do too that have work.
I move to adjourn.
I second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned.